Well, I don't know about you, but even as a professional designer, I've made my fair share of design mistakes in the past. So I thought we would take a tour of my home. I'll show you the mistakes that I regret every single day so you don't make them in your home. We're getting real here, so let's go. So I made a couple of mistakes on the outside of our house. One of them was that when we built our home, I did not add this sweeping porch with the 3 steps up. We only had one little step into the house. It's almost like a stoop. And it just wasn't very fun to decorate for Halloween and Christmas, if I'm being honest. And we didn't have a stone walkway. So we had like this great idea that we were gonna put stones into the grass and the grass was gonna grow in between the stones, and it was a hot mess and looked absolutely terrible. So we had to redo the entire entrance to our home. I'm glad we did, but I wish I would have done it right from the beginning. All right, another one of the tragic mistakes I made on the outside of our house, and one that haunts me every single Christmas, is that I only included one electrical outlet on our porch. So I can light up the garland that goes around our front door at Christmas, but if I have like a topiary on this side, I don't have a dedicated outlet for it. I didn't put outlets on the outside of the wall, so I can't light up all of our like hedges in the front of our house. It's a nightmare. This is a mistake that happens a lot, especially in new builds, so make sure you add as many outlets as absolutely possible. I don't have one on my staircase. I can't light my garland there. It's just something that it's hard to do later on, but if you take the time to think about it when you're building a house or when you're renovating, you'll make the right choices. Okay, let's go inside and I'm gonna show you the ones that are terrible on the inside of the house. As we head into the great room, I want to stop and give you a little backstory. We built this house 10 years ago. When we were building it, I was also selling my business. So I was very distracted and focused on that part of my life. Therefore, some of the design details fell through the cracks and I made some mistakes, and that's life. We all get distracted and we all have things to do. But over the last 10 years, I've designed and built a ton of houses, and I've made sure to learn from my hasty mistakes that I made on my home. I guide my clients through considering every tiny detail of their homes. I've poured all of that design experience and knowledge into my new online interior design course. The doors open in just a few weeks, so if you've ever felt overwhelmed when decorating your home, or maybe you've second-guessed every decision and felt stuck worrying that you're gonna make a mistake, well, that is all behind you. Join me inside the course and I'll walk you step by step through the entire design process. And I know that by the end of the course, you'll have the essential tools and professional knowledge to avoid thoughtless mistakes and design a home of your dreams. There's a link below the video description if you want to join me in the course. It would be my honor. Okay, let's go see the great room. So the first mistake I made in the great room is where we located our gas key. So we have a wood burning fireplace in here, but we have gas to it. So we've got a little gas key over on the ground. I thought I was being very smart by putting it on the ground behind the corner, but the problem is that this is where we put our Christmas tree. And so therefore, when I want to have a fire in the month of December, I have to get on my hands and knees and crawl underneath the Christmas tree to turn on the gas. Terrible. I should have located the gas key on this wall around the corner so it would still be hidden from the view of the room, but it would be easy to access. That I learn from my mistakes. That's an easy one to fix. I made a mistake on that one. All right, next up, we have this beautiful wall of doors and windows. And this was not a mistake. I wanted this, I dreamed about this. We have a gorgeous view, it's wonderful, but when we built the house, I didn't want to have any drapery on this wall. Well, now I do. The problem with that is I want double height drapery. I want my panels to go all the way up to the vaulted ceiling. And we have these beams on our vaulted ceiling that are very close to the window casing. So if I want to put drapery here, I'm gonna have to come up with some very unique drapery rods and have them custom made in order to account for the beams. It's a little bit of a problem. It's kind of been a pain in the butt, and the reason I don't have any drapery yet. Next up, this is a big one. I want you to take note of this. I also did not plan for drapery on this wall or really anywhere in the house. I wasn't here when the HVAC guys were here installing all of our floor vents, and our floor vents are very, very close to the walls. That's a big no-no if you want drapery. You need to pull your floor vents out at least 12 to 14 inches in order to have a space on the floor for the drapery to fall down. If you do not do that, the drapery is gonna kind of puff out, especially if it's a sheer, and look like you have like ghosts in your house. So if you're building or renovating, heed this mistake because it's a big one and something I really, really regret doing. Okay, let's head into the kitchen. Okay, I've got a couple of mistakes I wanna go over with you in the kitchen, but this is the first one and it's a big one for me. So we have this beautiful opening going from our great room into the kitchen. And we've been in this house for almost 10 years, so I wanna do a little kitchen refresh, and that includes adding tongue and groove paneling to the ceiling of this room. Well, the problem in that is, when the house is being framed, I wasn't on site that day and they did not do an exposed header in this opening. So what that means is if I add tongue and groove paneling to this room, there's nowhere for the side of the boards, the tongue and groove boards, to die into. This is kind of a big one because I'm going to have our framers come back, take off the drywall and add a dropped header here if I want to do tongue and groove paneling in this kitchen. So think about that as you're renovating or building, and make sure that if you want to do some type of ceiling treatment later on, if you're not doing it right then, but you want to do it later, that you've got something for your ceiling paneling to die into. Okay, let me share the rest of the kitchen mistakes I made. So first of all, when we were building the house, I opted for a budget-friendly kitchen faucet and pot filler, and it was a huge mistake because we've been in the house almost 10 years, like I said, and the finish is coming off of them. So I'm having to replace the faucet and the pot filler in our kitchen renovation. Next, when I chose the cup pulls for our drawers, I didn't pay attention to the spread, which is the space between the two screws that hold the pulls onto the drawer. And these cup pulls have a 5.5 inch spread, which is not very standard. So I want to change out the pulls, but it's really, really difficult for me to find ones that I love that have a 5.5 inch spread. And the problem is that if you're changing out your kitchen hardware, and you don't use the exact same spread, it's really difficult to fill in those holes and repaint them and for them to completely go away. So like really great painters can do it, but it's difficult. So my pro tip here is when you're choosing your kitchen hardware or your bathroom hardware, make sure that you choose some that have a standard spread of a 3 inch, a 5 inch, or a 6 inch, or 7, whatever, but not a weird 1/2 inch because it's a huge problem for me and it's a mistake that I made that I wish I hadn't. Last but not least in the kitchen are these open shelves. And I actually like the open shelves, but I've always wanted a hutch here, so I'd still get the open shelves, but it would look more built in, and I would have the ability to be able to adjust the shelf heights if I want to. So, I mean, although it's not a huge mistake, it's something I wish I would have done in the very beginning of building the house. I'm doing it now when we renovate the kitchen, and you know, just kind of a bummer that I haven't been able to live with a beautiful hutch for the last 10 years. Okay, we're about to head outside and I'm going to show you my biggest design mistake of all. But before we do, I want to stop off in the mudroom and just say for the record that there are really beautiful ways to do return air vents, and this is not one of them. When we were building the house, I was distracted and I did not pay attention to the HVAC plans and where all of the return vents were going. So this return vent is ugly, and it's located on a wall that ate up a ton of space in my pantry, which is a total bummer. So pro tip here, first of all, think about your return vents, where they're located, make sure they're not eating up precious space in your house, and design them to look better than this, because this is a tragedy. Okay, let's head outside. Okay, we are outside on our covered patio and fenced in flower garden area. And this area is no mistake. It's my favorite part of our house. The mistake is that I did not add this to our home when we built 10 years ago. We actually added this on about 3 years ago. So for 7 years, I didn't get to enjoy my favorite part of our house. Make sure you don't do that. It's really important to include the spaces in your home that you enjoy every single day. Let me know in the comments if you've made a couple of design missteps yourself, and I hope that today's video and my home tour inspires you to avoid some of the mistakes that I've made in the past. Also, if you want a little bit more design inspiration on how you can elevate your home, I want you to meet me in this next video. See you there.